Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of your weekly aviation podcast. I'm your host along with my friend Roy. Say hello.
Hi.
And yeah, so this is episode one of this podcast. So yeah, basically what this is going to be is it's about a half an hour to an hour long chat. About anything new in the aviation world. You know, about flight simming, about anything really that's in the aviation world at the moment. So we're both Irish. I'm sure you can assume. So a lot of it will be, well, some of it will be, of course, Irish aviation and Aer Lingus Regional, Ryanair, stuff like that. But then also there'll be stuff like any international aviation news. We'll be talking about it. So to start off, we'll just do a bit of an introduction. I'll let Roy go first.
Hi, my name's Rory. I am 14 years old. I'm from Dublin, in Ireland, and I like flying X-plane and flight simulation planes primarily.
Okay, well, hello, I'm Ollie. I am also 14 years old. I am from Wexford, but I go to Dublin quite a lot. I'm also a big fan of flight simming. I fly an X-plane on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I'm also quite experienced VATSIM pilot. So now that's out of the way, we can talk a bit about anything new in the aviation world. So, Aer Lingus Regional, what do you think about it? Do you think it's going to go well or not well? I mean, the previous Aer Lingus Regional did quite well, but they had to shut it down. Do you think it'll be the same like that when it starts up again in January, I think?
I hope it'll be well, but you can't really tell because I haven't really started anything yet. But I hope it goes well.
Yeah, like they said the same about well they actually no they said the exact opposite about the Ryanair route from Dublin to Kerry. Everyone said that it wouldn't really go that well. But it did, and well, it's not fully produced yet, but it's still a flying route, and people still use it. How long that'll be for, no one really knows, but hopefully for a long time, because I'm hoping to get my hands on a boarding pass to go to Kerry with Ryanair.
Yeah, and then the Donegal route with Amapola, they fly the Fokker 50s, so that's also gone quite well.
Oh yeah, I'm dying to do that route. I really want to do that route, especially like there's a lot of reasons. I mean, for the first reason is you're flying the Fokker 50. Well, you're flying on the Fokker 50. Second reason is that like you're on an aircraft, and third reason is that the view is going into Donegal or going out of Donegal. Because if you can get that over the summer, and the weather is just beautiful, you would have amazing views.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it got voted like most scenic aviation, or well, most scenic like a departure and approach like in the world. I think, or definitely in Europe.
yeah, I think it did.
Yeah, it did. And yeah, so I think the Amapola is definitely doing very well. I mean, it's not every day that you see an airline from Sweden come over, and because after Stobart Air got put into liquidation, if you don't know, Stobart Air used to operate Aer Lingus regional flights. So they'd fly to two airports inside of Ireland. They'd fly from Dublin to Kerry and Dublin to Donegal, and they'd also fly up to places like Glasgow. Um, so yeah, they used to operate. They used to have some ATR. They had an ATR 42 and a 72, not just one. They had multiple 42 and 72s, and they would fly up. They would fly to those regional destinations mainly as a public service, because I mean, not many people are going to be needing to go from Dublin to Kerry every single day. So a lot of the time, that'll be used by teachers, by workers, especially during COVID. If you're working in a hospital or something, then their passenger numbers extremely decreased, and they had to go into liquidation to pay off all their debts and stuff. So unfortunately, over the summer, I think it was July or August, they fully filed liquidation and they were gone for good. So then Aer Lingus needed to find, well, like the Irish government needed to find another airline to do that that public service, because even though it is a very good route for passengers, it is still a public service. So that Amapola came over, a Swedish airline came over, and no one really thought that it would go well. But the fact that they were flying a Fokker 50 is brilliant for any av geek out there.
Yeah, well, the fact that it's a Swedish airline that you'd never really expect a Swedish airline see that a regional route has been gone, and then they're like, "Oh, let's take it." I thought that maybe like even like Logan Air would take it or something. That never expected Amapolo would take it.
Exactly, yeah, and I definitely thought that Logan Air. I did think that Logan Air would at least take the Dublin to Donegal route, and also some of the Scottish routes to Dublin. But even like Amapola are also very active online and on social media, not only just posting, but interacting with the people. Even if you've never flown on them before, if you post an aviation photo and you tag them in it, they will almost always comment on your post, like your post. I mean, I posted an 800 follower post the other day, and it was of one of their planes, and they and it wasn't just an automated, like really nice post. They actually said, "Congratulations, Ollie! Thanks for a brilliant post." So I think that's a very good marketing scheme to have them, because you'd never see. I mean, you'd see Aer Lingus commenting on some people's posts, but it's well, it's not automated, but it's a copy and pasted message for permission to repost the post. But Amapola don't want that. They only want to make the people. They only want to give back to the passengers, because I mean, I think it's about €50 to fly from Dublin to Donegal, which is, it's a decent deal. Um, and instead of just saying thank you, they'd actually go online, and they do interact with their customer. So I think that is a very good marketing scheme for them.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of airlines are doing that now. Well, like not really on Instagram. A lot of airlines are moving to TikTok. I've seen like Ryanair and Nolan or in Canada, and haven't seen Ampoli yet. I think I will, but it seems like they're all like active on Instagram now, and it's like TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think Ryanair. I think they're the most followed account on Ryanair, and you can tell that they actually, because no, I mean, you're right. I'm probably don't have a TikTok yet, but eventually they will. Yeah, a lot of them are turning to TikTok, but see, I think the one and only main problem about TikTok is you can't do as much stuff as you would on Instagram. So on TikTok, it's all video. You can't just post a photo. So let's say, I mean, it's all. I mean, everyone wants to see the proper content from the airlines, but you also want to see stuff like from the airline, like deals and stuff. But if you have TikTok and don't have Instagram, you're only gonna get the all the fun content and all the entertaining content, which of course everyone wants to get. But if you're maybe an older person, or just don't know as much about aviation as some other people do, for example, me and you, um, like I don't know as much as me and you, then they would want to see the deals online, and sometimes they can't just go onto Google and search up Ryanair deals. So I think that's the only main problem about doing things like TikTok, is that you can't really promote those. I mean, you can kind of promote them, but you can't promote them as well as you would on a thing like Instagram.
Yeah, so like things of promoting, I literally fused, well, like not literally, but maybe like an hour or so ago, I viewed Air Baltic story. They were doing a game where you had to guess where the place is, and you could win up the free flights. But I got a €10 flight vouchers, mad.
Oh yeah, that's very cool. That's also a very good marketing scheme that the airline use, like giveaways, because I mean, what happens is they would give away. You got a flight voucher. Some people get free flight tickets. Like Ryanair gave away like a free like ticket to like a winter. I think it was to Lapland or something. Which, if you don't know, it's a massive winter place up in Finland. I've actually been before. And there's parts for children, parts for adults. Anyway, they were giving away a free flight, and even though you're getting that flight for free, you're still on the plane, which will make it look more full, even though you didn't pay for it, and that'll make more people purchase the tickets. So I mean, even though Ryanair cost like Ryanair tickets cost what, 9.99 in winter to go down very very south, because not many people will be going there. It's still like they're one of the richest airlines in the world for a budget airline.
Yeah, it's gotta always imagine how they did it, how they went from flying planes to some low cost airline that are definitely one of the richest in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Like sometimes I'd be looking, because I like to do my X-plane flights and stuff on real world flights. So I'd look for like Ryanair routes and destinations and see if there's any coming up. And I one time I was flying from Dublin to Ibiza. No, I was flying Galway to Ibiza, and and I went online and the ticket was 24.99. And you could go on Aer Lingus and get the exact same route, different aircraft obviously, but it doesn't matter. For I think it was about like 150 euros. So I mean, they're charging, like a third less than what Aer Lingus would cost, but like they're still somehow rich. And you could say that it is because they take away a lot of the costs in the aircraft, like that, the seats can't recline. Um, there's no pamphlets, and there's there's no, I'm not really sure to be honest, but there's no armrest or anything like that on some of the seats. But they're like, but the prices of their tickets don't match up to what they would be losing. But somehow they're still probably one of the richest, if not the richest airline in the world.
Yeah, it's like because, well, like in terms of saving money, they can somehow they can turn around to a plane in 20 minutes, get the people off, get the people on, refuel the plane. So they're saving costs, but they're sort of like making money at the same time because they're sort of maximizing their like just maximizing their routes and how many people can get on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think for Ryanair, because you said like they're, which you're right about, like they can turn around some of their planes in like 10 20 minutes. I think the maximum that they're allowed to do is like 35 minutes, and I think that's in a very busy airport like Amsterdam. But like you wonder how they can do it, like because it's still a plane. Like they have to get it clean and stuff, and they are clean, and like they've been proven clean. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't be flying, and they definitely wouldn't have as much money as they do have. Because even though you want to fly people to their destination, you don't want to get a bad review. You don't want to end up like someone like American Airlines, who recently have been in the wars with all their reviews. Even though they're a good airline and they have really nice planes, they have really nice everything really, but on board the aircraft it's actually it's not terrible, but it's not very good. Because I mean, they have delays, they have you know dirty aircrafts. Um, but like it doesn't match up to the same as like Ryanair, who turn around their planes in 20 minutes, when America might turn around their planes in like 2 hours. So you could be saying that American could be the best airline in the world if they actually tried, and like an airline like I don't know, JetBlue or something. Hello.
So yeah,
Oh, you're
another
gone.
thing about saving money is that they love to go to smaller airports of a city. Like I'm looking at Ryanair where they fly from like Dublin to
Hmm.
Paris, and they would fly to their Paris airport, and it takes an hour and a half to drive from that airport to the actual city center of Paris. So I think same with Frankfurt. They fly to Frankfurt Han, but it's a great way of saving money. Except I don't think people would like it too much.
Yeah, like, cause I actually watched a video about this recently on how budget airline makes so much money. And yeah, what they do is, I mean, they do fly to Amsterdam, Schiphol, but there's not really many other places. Because I mean, if they flew to somewhere smaller in Amsterdam, they wouldn't get any passengers. Because even though you want to save money, you want to get passengers. But I mean, you're right. Like they fly, they don't go if you want to go to Paris via Ryanair, you can't go to Paris Charles de Gaulle. You have to go to Paris Bouvet, which I think it is actually quite close to Paris Charles de Gaulle, but it is a different airport and quite a worse airport. I think I've flown there a few times on the flight sim, not in real life. But like what they do is they go to a less populated airport. So like um, if they went to London, which they do, they don't go to London Heathrow. They go to London Gatwick and London Stansted and London Luton. But if they, because those airports like London Luton and London Stansted, maybe not so much Stansted but Luton, it was going downhill until Ryanair came in. And then what they can do after a while is they can ask for a lower slot price, because that's what it all comes down to, a slot price. Because I mean, if you would go to London Heathrow, it could be a sky amount of money. Every single ticket on the plane cost for just for the pushback from London Heathrow, or Charles de Gaulle or anything like that, or like no JFK, but they don't fly there. But if they did, But so then they can eventually ask for lower slot prices. And if they say no, just leave the airport, and then that airport will cease to exist, basically. I mean, they might have one or two planes coming in every day, but apart from that, they'll cease to exist. So I think that's what Ryanair do quite smartly.
Yeah, they're definitely very like they'll just say no, like they did with the Max deals. They weren't getting the price they wanted, and they just said no, we're not taking that. They're not going into no negotiations or anything. They just say nah, not having it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And like they don't want to waste their time negotiating when eventually if they are looking for a lower price, they might only get 5% lower than they were actually looking for. And then 95% of that is still being paid by Ryanair, and that 5% will probably be still have to be paid to like charges and duties and stuff. So like I think because Ryanair are very smart about what they do. Because if they don't get the deal that they're looking for, like as you said, they're not having it. Like you could see in like Aer Lingus, let's say they were trying to get 200,000 euros less, and the airline only gave them 100,000 euros. That's 50% of the money that they were. That's 50% of the money that they were hoping to lose still there. If that happened to Ryanair, they just say no and they just leave. And then if it was in an airport, as I said, if it was in an airport like Luton or Gatwick, they just, well, maybe not Gatwick, but Luton, they just cease to exist and they'd be gone for good, really. Or they just have to become a regional airport, which not no many airports really want to do. They want to stay, top of the charts, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think that's what Ryanair do quite well.
Yeah, they always seem to have something to like fall back on. So if it's not Luton, or if it's not like Stansted, it's Luton, or if it's not Dublin, it's Cork or something, whatever. But yeah, that's sort of all I have to say about Ryanair, really.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Ryanair segment of the podcast. But yeah, you're correct. You are correct. They do have something to fall back on, as you said. If it's not Dublin, it's Cork. If it's not Stansted, it's Luton. If it's not Gatwick, then it's nothing really. If it's not Gatwick, it's Manchester maybe. But yeah, so that's we had a massive chat about Ryanair there for no apparent reason. But yeah, that's the Ryanair part down. Do you want to talk about anything next?
We can move on to flight simulation, maybe.
Yeah, okay. So flight simulation. Just to give anybody who are very new to the aviation world an idea what flight simulation is. I know 99% of you will know what it is, but if there's 1% of you who don't know, this is what it is. Basically, flight simulation is it's used a lot of it's used by a lot of people around the world. And what it is you could say it's a game, but it's not a game. It's more like it's an application that you would download, and it's if you look at the screen, if you're not looking at the screen, this is what it is basically, and it simulates a proper flight. So you could go on your computer, connect all your stuff if you have any stuff connected. Like you can make your own cockpit at home, but just not actually be in the air. So you can fly from Dublin to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to New York, in your bedroom, but you're actually moving, and it's real time as well. So if you're flying a flight for 2 hours, like if you're flying a flight that would usually take 2 hours, it's taking 2 hours. Um, Now you can get different flight simulators. You can get ones on your phone, for example, Infinite Flight or Real Flight Simulator or anything like that. But you do need to know the difference between a simulator and a game, because there are a lot of flight games out there. If you like to play flight games, that's fine. Flight games are sometimes fun to play. You just mess around in them. But if you're in a simulator, you take it seriously. And then VATSIM comes into play. Rory, I think you're more experienced with VATSIM. If you want to explain what VATSIM is.
Yeah, so VATSIM's an online flying network that you can use with most flight simulators on a computer. You can use it with X-Plane, Prepper 3D, and the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think there might be a few more, but it's sort of it's like virtual controlling. So you'd have real pilots flying from their simulators at home, and then you'd have people controlling from their whatever, like Euroscope at home, which is like the ATC client you'd control them from, and it's just real time. The whole world is in it, so you have different VACs, which is like different like FI. Well, I don't know how to explain. It's like um the different countries. Yeah, so it's the different countries that have.
Different
So
airspace,
they
different airspaces.
yeah they'd train their own controllers, and then they'd control the pilots that are flying.
Yeah, so that's basically what VATSIM is. So it's basically, if you get VATSIM, it brings up the realism of flight simming to a whole new level. The only thing about VATSIM is if you are thinking about joining VATSIM, study, study, study. Don't join VATSIM without knowing what you're trying to do. Know how to control your aircraft. I mean, don't join VATSIM with like a Concorde or anything like that, or don't join VATSIM like a 747 or anything like that. Join VATSIM. Start with something small, like a 172, or maybe a very small airliner or something. And work your way up. Maybe just fly a few circuits to start off, just to get yourself used to it. Um, but yeah, so I think we both fly VATSIM. So that's basically what VATSIM is. That's basically what flight simulation is. So yeah, Roy, do you have anything to say about flight simulation?
Well, about flight simulation, it's as he said, Ali said, it's a really good place to start is just flying your small planes and then working up to your big planes. So then you'll like know the basics and how the plane flies, and then you'll know how your big plane flies because well you'll know like the yaw, pitch, and roll, so it should be fine for the big and small planes.
Yeah, the basics you find while flying the small planes. Now you do have things that bring the big planes to a new level. For example, autopilot, and APU and stuff like that. But you get the hang of actually controlling an aircraft in the air like freehand while flying something like a 172 or 152. Um, like as you say, you get the hang of like yaw and pitch and roll. You get the hang of how to actually control the aircraft. It's good. It's also good for people who people who want to become a pilot but can't become a pilot due to some. Let's say you're colorblind, and you physically can't become a real world pilot. Um, Flight simming would be good. Also, if you fly, I don't know, maybe you fly. You are a pilot yourself, and you fly commercial aircraft all day. Um, it'd be good to fly a bit of general aviation when you come home. Get a bit of a cool down from or vice versa. Get a bit of a cool down from your current aircraft.
Yeah, so as Ali said, yeah, so the auto once like you get introduced to autopilot and LNAV and VNAV becomes a whole different thing. So especially when you're flying on VATSIM, the main thing is you definitely need to know how how to fly your plane because if you don't know how to do that, you're kind of screwed on the network.
Yeah, exactly, and not just fly your plane, but also communicate. Like for every, because I was actually like this when I started. If the air traffic controller gives you a call out, you have to read it back. Now you don't have to read back his every single word, but you have to read back what he's instructed you to do. So let's say he says Rhino 81 turn left 210, then you have to say you can say turn left 210, you can say left 210, you can just say 210 Rhino 81. Usually try to say the direction as well as your callback, as well as your reback if it is a heading, but it can also be like an altitude or something like that. Yeah, but if it's like a controller, if you have to switch frequencies, let's say you have to move to tower from ground, I can say like contact tower 118.6, a decimal just like a point. 118.6, and you would have to say like tower, like where you're switching to and the frequency, like tower 118.6, Ryanair 612, whatever your call sign is.
Yeah, but like once you know how you fly your plane, how you do the comms and all, it's actually really fun. Like there's loads of events that you can do as well, like across the pond or like I know Vadair do it, like the Irish for like Vatsum, they do a lot of events. They did the Dublin or Amsterdam Dublin City Pair, which was very fun. I did that, but yeah, it's really fun once you do the events and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's loads of fun. I mean, it is quite nerve wracking at the beginning, but like the controllers won't bite. Like you can just ask them. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be a very good idea to start off somewhere. Like maybe like it wouldn't be a very good idea to start in like Amsterdam Schiphol. and go to London Heathrow on your first ever flight unless you've had experience, unless you're a proper pilot or you've had a lot of experience with it before and you know where you're going, what you're doing. Maybe start off with London Gatwick. Maybe even when there's not a controller, and then maybe fly to I'm not sure any smaller, any regional airports in Amsterdam, but I'm sure if you're listening to this, you do. I know one, but I just forget it. But yeah, maybe just do that. Don't go all in at the very beginning. Maybe don't even fly cross country at the very beginning. Just do a few circuits. But once you've gotten all that down, it is so much fun, and it's just so fun to just log on, because unlike a real world flight, you can fly wherever you want, whenever you want. Even if you want to fly from North Korea to South Korea or vice versa, you can do it. Maybe don't, but you can do it. But see, the thing is though, the only problem with those events is, yeah, the events are so much fun, so much fun. But if you don't want to fly the event, or I'll talk about the slot system in a minute, because I think that is a cause for chatting about. But I think if you don't get the event, the only problem is you can't really fly. If it's across the pond, you can go to Asia if you want and fly. But apart from that, you can't really fly if there's an event going on. But to be fair, you do have to give to people who are participating in the event that day of just freedom on their own, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and as you said, the slots are definitely probably one of the most heated topics. Well, maybe not one of the most heated topic, or one of the most, but it's definitely a heated topic. And that some like people like I in the cross the pond, the days of leading up till it, the Discord was mad on people complaining about the slots, people complaining about how they didn't get a slot and some other people did because they put it first or something. So it's a bit just mad to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should talk about the slots now, just for a little bit, because it is definitely a very popular subject of discussion in the VATSIM community. So if you don't know, what VATSIM used to do, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what they used to do is, it used to be a first come first serve. Sorry, I just moved my mouse, but it used to be a first come first serve service for events like cross the pond and cross the land. And you'd have to be, let's say you have to be on by the 23rd of March at 8 p.m. and that's when flying slots went live, and you just get it. That's the system that they used to do. Then they thought that it would cause, because the only real problem with that was the amount of people who were on the website. The website was often crash, so you would have to, so like if you were about to get a slot from the first come first serve, and the website crashes, you're done. Basically, you don't have a slot, because if you don't know, you can't really. Technically you can, because the VATSIM rule is you can fly wherever you want, whenever you want. As I said back there, so technically you can fly without a slot in one of those big events, but really you shouldn't, because it'll just cause delays, and it'll be uncomfortable for you to start off, because you want to have a smooth flight, but you'll be sitting there on the ground, maybe for an hour or so. I've seen a lot of people fly without a slot a lot of times before, and they just don't. They just sit there and they're like, why aren't I moving? But you don't have a slot, but they can't say, shut up, you don't have a slot. Like, so to talk about the slot system, I don't know, which do you prefer? Because the slot system that they use now is you have to put in like a city pair. Well, not a city pair, but you have to put in like three routes that you'd be okay to fly. So let's say you only wanted to fly from Dublin and you were doing westbound, westbound, which is over to the US from Europe. And let's say you only really wanted to fly from Dublin. You could choose Dublin to Miami, Dublin to Boston, Dublin to JFK, and you'd be put into a lottery system for those routes. And only a select number of pilots would get them routes, and the rest will be stuck. Now this is better in some senses, because it's more smooth and less crazy. But then you have things where people can sell their slots for a lot of money. I think actually in the last cross the pond I was a bit naughty and I tried to buy a slot off someone It didn't work though. I didn't get any offers, but so I didn't get a slot for the last Clash of Bond. Turned out I wasn't able to fly it anyway, but I didn't know that at the time, so I did try to buy a few slots, but I couldn't. In the first Clash upon, I did get a slot though somehow. But I mean, the slots can go to the wrong person. You can end up without your slots, and it can just be an absolute mess with the slot system. But also, it can be good because the website won't crash, and it's all controlled by Vatsim.net, and there'll be no hackers getting like 16 slots at once or anything like that, taking away from the people who are actually trying to fly. If you know what I mean. So, what do you think about the slot system, and which do you think is better, the first come first serve, or the current slot system?
I definitely see the point of the way they have the new slots because the website can crash. Um, it's definitely understandable, but honestly, I prefer the first come first serve because it's just if you're the first one there. So I like personally, I think you should like deserve it if you're really early there. But then people definitely could get like be held back due to some reason. Website could be crashing. They could just be out of the house and they don't know about it. But I prefer the first one personally.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, each one has their pros and cons. I guess I'll just go through some of the pros and cons with you right now. Well, with everyone listening, and with you if you're interested. Um, I mean, there's a lot of pros to the first come first serve. As you said, it shows that you do really care about flying the event if you're on there, like first. If you're on there, like maybe like 2 or 3, even 4 hours early to get the event, and you are the first person there. And also, there'll be no hackers hacking in to get it, and also it feels a lot like less. I don't think there'll be more need to buy slots and to sell slots because there definitely is a black market for selling and buying slots. Um, I'm sure there's a lot of Discord servers and stuff to do that. Now don't if you're wondering, it is highly prohibited by VATSIM, but don't do that if you are thinking about it. I did try to do it once, but luckily I didn't get it. But anyway, um, so yeah, I mean that's another pro, and also as I said, there'll be less demand for buying and selling because if you're trying to buy it, you should have been on there at the time. The cons about it then is that like the slots would go very fast, like extremely very fast. Like they could sell out in like 5 minutes, which you'd see like for like tickets to like a sports game or like to an event or something like in real life. Um, so yeah, that's the one problem. The other problem is as we've both mentioned, the the website can crash a lot if there's like 800 or 900 people on there at the time. So what they could do for it, for the first come first serve, is what Ticketmaster sometimes do to stop the website crashing, is put people in a queue. Um, so I think there's about 1,000 people. I think there's about 1,000 slots for Vaxim, and then there's a few like less like I think they're called burnout slots or something. I'm not 100% sure what they're called, but they're slots for people who haven't got them, but just either two extremely long distances or like let's say like Moscow to anywhere really. Or just like two airports very unknown or very difficult to get to. If you really care about the event, you will take them. If you don't, then it's your own problem, really. So I think what they could do is put a bunch of people in a queue and then bring them through to get their slots for that. Then now I think that would be a way of bringing the first come first serve system back to life. Now to talk about the current slot system, it is good in some ways. So the pros about it is the website won't crash, and that's the really only pro about it now. Really, like if they did carry out what I said, they're bringing people in the queue and then bringing them through to get their slots. I think that would make it a hell of a lot easier, and more efficient, easier, and it would be able to be controlled like the current slot system is now. It'd be able to be controlled by Vatsim.net, because let's say if you brought in 100 people to get their slots, there could be a lot of like moderators and like monitors and moderators on there to see, because I mean no one's going to be getting 16 slots at one time. So I think that could be a way of stopping buying and selling, stopping hacking, and making it more streamlined and controlled. So what do you think?
Yes, it's a very good idea with the queues. Actually, I didn't know that, but um, it would definitely help. Well, no, it would definitely help, but it's just I don't think they would go back to that. I think they're gonna stick with the lottery, and not everyone's gonna be happy in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will stick with the lottery, but I mean, to be fair, no one can be happy. Not every single person will be happy. I mean, if they went to the first come first serve system, there could be someone saying like even if they did the queue, there could be people saying no, we don't want that because I mean, there's more of a chance of buying and selling and hacking and. Like you wouldn't, the tickets wouldn't be given to the wrong, or not the tickets, the slot wouldn't be given to the wrong person. And then if they stick with the lottery, there'll be the people who saying, there's a chance that someone who really cares about the event and has flown every single event somehow, will get the slot. No, won't get the slot. I mean, no one will really be happy at the end of the day. Not every single person. There'll be a 50-50 mix. People who want the lottery and people who don't want the lottery. But the lottery seems to be not very popular. But I mean, it could be popular in the end. I mean, I got a slot just about for the first. Well, for not the first, for the Costa Pond at the beginning of 2021. The westbound one, I didn't get one for eastbound. Try to buy slots. You don't want to buy the slots. If you are listening to this, don't buy and sell slots. Or it's just it's illegal by VATSIM to start off, and you could get your account taken away for a long, long time, if ever getting it back. And also it's just not right. Um, to buy and sell slots. I mean, selling slots is even worse, to be honest, because you've taken slots away from people, who would then eventually who could want it. Because if you went onto 5 accounts or 6 accounts and got all 6 of them slots, you've taken and just to sell them, you've taken 6 slots away. Well, to start off, you've taken 6 slots away from people who would have wanted them slots, like for free, and also you're putting a massive price tag on them. Like, I think I've seen some people selling like cost upon slot for like 200, 300 euro on Instagram and stuff. I'm like, no, just it's just not right to. It's not like to buy slots, let alone to sell slots.
Yeah, it shows how much people would want to get slots selling them for 200-300 euro. So, and yes, if you'd have 3 or 6 accounts, you're just taking just 6 flights away from people, which definitely would make people angry because if it was across upon the busiest event, that's an event of the year, only twice a year, it would definitely make the like six or whatever number of people definitely make them angry.
Yeah, and even though that is only 6 people out of like the 1,000 people, like that's just like a speck out of the 1,000 people. Like that, like one of those 6 people could be you, could be me, could be both of us. Um, and that's the problem. That's the main problem with the current. I actually didn't think about this before speaking about it, but that is also a problem with the current system. They're just like you can go on 6 or 7 accounts and get them. And even though you can't really go on to 6 or 7 accounts, you could make new accounts on your phone on different phones. I mean, I've got a laptop, a phone, a school laptop, and then there's my mum's phone, my sister's phone. You can just take all of them and get all the accounts, and it's just not morally right, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just some people would definitely try and exploit it if it went back to the first come first serve. Some people definitely just try and get them and sell them, and then they probably end up would making a lot of money off it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And as I said, there's definitely a black market for buying and selling stuff. But I think that'll be a thing in any condition. I mean, if they went to, because they don't want to have to go to having no slots like needed, because that would just make the event crazy. And even though it's good to see a lot of aircraft, you wouldn't be able to move really. Like if they made it like slotless, then almost every single person, if not every single person, would be going on to that event. And it's only, even though the Atlantic is very big, they can't afford they can't hold every single aircraft. Not to mention that it's also only a flight simulator. I mean, if it was realized, it would still be bad. But this is a flight simulator. Like it'll crash. Your simulator won't, because the simulator doesn't stay on for long. That's the one. That's the main. That's the only real problem about flight simming, is that it can crash and all of it is gone. Really. I mean, I think that happened to you in the. It might have been a different person, but I think it was you in the first. Well, not the first. The first of this year, cost upon eastbound, didn't it?
Yeah, that actually did happen. My flight sim crashed. It was really annoying because everything was going so well. I was climbing out of Dublin. I was about to get my oceanic clearance, and then the sim just froze and crashed.
Yeah, and like one time I was doing a transatlantic flight. It wasn't even like an event. I was just flying transatlantic, and I was actually on my descent into Dublin. Because I was flying from Boston to Dublin. And gone crashed. And I had stayed up. I had woken up at like 4, like 3, because it was one of those like mad hour flights. Um, and I was following it. And it was actually while I had COVID at the time as well, because I got COVID over the summer, so I was feeling shite enough anyway, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's not very nice, but I mean, you lose that because it's so satisfying to actually land, especially if it's a good landing, like a really long flight like that. You know, it's so satisfying, and just to fly all that time, because that's I think the best. I mean, my favorite part about a flight is the landing, because I mean, like the flight, like mid-flight and like takeoff, it's all really really good. But I think my favorite part is the landing, because all the effort is like paid off really, and you know that nothing is really bad is gonna happen. And if you do crash, like here, like so what? Like you've landed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely landings. Definitely sort of the most. It really shows like how not really how good you are, but how much effort and how much sort of just attention you put into your flight sim.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you don't know, on VATSIM, you're only allowed 30 minutes away from your screen at any given point. Now, what technically you could do to say is just ask for clearance every single 30 minutes, but really you shouldn't. You should always really stay at your computer throughout the entire flight. Now, of course, you can take 5 minute breaks. You can go down and get some food, do a bit of exercise maybe, but really you should stay at it. And it shows you that even if you've been flying for 55 minutes from Dublin to London or back, or for like 12 hours from like Amsterdam over to like I don't know, Los Angeles or California. It doesn't matter what flight you're after doing. It just really shows you that you do care about it a lot, because I definitely had points in the middle of my flights where I've just said screw it, there's no point doing this flight anymore, there's no ATC coming up, it's horrible weather, I'll probably crash the landing anyway, just quit. But I hate doing it, like it actually killed me to do it, but it has to be done, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that is so relatable. That happened to me like 2 or 3 days ago. I was just so bored and I just quit.
Yeah, because because it's always more fun to have ATC. Um, like there's a lot of reasons. First of all, it's more active, because if you don't know, VATSIM is not like real life in the sense that it is always ATC. ATC is voluntary. Um, so you know what I mean. Like ATC is all voluntary, so you don't have that freedom to fly anywhere you want, wherever you want. If that makes sense. Like and there'll
Yeah,
always be a ATC where you're flying.
yeah, because I know there's a network called Pilot Edge, and that's in the west coast of America, and that you have to pay. Well, you have to pay per month for that, but that always have ATC staffed up for most airports in California.
Yeah, I think they should do something like that for all countries like Ireland and England, where you have to pay it every month, but you like you can just like press a button, and then there'll always be an ATC controller there. That's the good thing about VATSIM events is, I mean, you can always have an event where it's just an airport, and you fly out of the airport, but then you're flying for another 2 hours without it, without ATC. But the good thing about events is that you can actually get events like routes, or even like regions. So last night I was doing Milano, and the entirety of like that section of Europe, I think like the entirety of like the mainland Europe, had ATC. So I just flew from Milano to oh, what was it? Milano to Paris. So I mean, and there was ATC the entire way. So I mean that's good, because that's the good thing about VATSIM is that you can have like route events, so like Budapest turnaround where you're flying from Frankfurt to Budapest. That's what makes VATSIM VATSIM, like all the events.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of things make up VATSIM, like well, the flying, the controlling, there's a lot of memes on VATSIM. with certain areas, and then sometimes people screaming into the mic, people's mics not working, and it's just sometimes it's just really funny to listen to.
Yeah, like it is often funny to hear. Like even though it kills you to hear, and sometimes can be annoying, you can't help but just laugh if you hear a little kid, like if the controller just says something completely out of the little kid's world. You know, like maybe he said like turn right heading 210, proceed direct, and then the waypoint is just like if he's in a foreign place, the waypoint is just crazy like names. You can't help but have a little chuckle at the little kid's voice, just like in confusion. And even though you feel really bad, it is off always a bit funny.
Yeah, well, like that sort of goes ties into the you have to be over 13 to like be vaccinated. So a lot of
Mm.
people don't meet that, but like sometimes they don't, and sometimes they could be perfectly fine, but then other times they wouldn't be like over 13, and it could go horribly wrong.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard little kids, well, not little kids, but like definitely not 13, sounding like the most professional ever, you know, having all the notes ready, having everything written down. Like I've heard them like that, and then I've heard them just absolutely crazy. But as you say, that's the reason why there is that over 13 limit for VATSIM, because you need to be able to fly professionally to fly on VATSIM, because it is actually used for training pilots, like actual pilots training. People, they use VATSIM to get used to, because all the controllers are professionally trained. Well, not professionally trained, but they're trained quite like they're trained professionally, as in they're trained like professionals would do it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best things about Vatsum, that they definitely know what they're doing. Like you might know what you're doing, but they would know what you're doing because they most likely be a pilot on that network, and they would help you, and they would know exactly what to do if you're having a problem, and they just know everything, so they could definitely just take it through A to B.
Yeah, definitely. And I was like this my first VATSIM. If you are new to VATSIM, just say it. Don't go around thinking that you're amazing. Just message the ATC, send them a private message and just say I'm new to VATSIM. I'm a bit slow, well not slow, but I'm a bit without the knowledge that some of the other pilots would have. So if I do mess up, just tell me. Just be honest with the controller and just tell them that, instead of being like thinking you know what you're doing, and then you end up taking off from runway 16 instead of runway 10. You know, like just because that's what I did. I just sent to the controller. Hi, I'm new. I joined VATSIM like a week ago. I haven't done many flights. I haven't actually completed a full flight. I don't know as much as most of your pilots here would know. Just a little help would go a long way, and they do, and they understand that. Like the controllers don't bite, as I said earlier. Like they won't kill you. I mean, you can have that very unnice controller, but that's because they're in a very usually that is because they're in a very busy airport and they don't really know what they're doing. And there is very few. Now I do know a few, but there is very few controllers in Dublin Airport who are like that, and who are very, very, very strict, you know?
Yeah, but that definitely ties in with just having a really busy airspace because I remember, well, no, I was flying about a week ago from Cork to Ravennemi, and the Shannon FR was absolutely mad, and there's just radio call over radio call. Then it was all silent, and I thought I disconnected, but it was just grand because then everyone started talking again, and it's just so busy. The controller didn't really have time to talk properly. He just had to just give out instructions and make sure people read them back.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's also where a lot of it ties in to wait your turn. Like, because I have definitely been on Vatsim one night. Like, I mean, I have one night recently actually, and there was a Finnair. If you are watching this, you know who you are. I think it was Finnair 1282 or something. And there was a Finnair, and he was just talking over people, and he didn't read back. Now, even though he got his clearance in text, you still have to read back, unless it like clearly says no read back required. You need to read back the text that you get, like, for your clearance. I was trying to get clearance from Dublin to Nice, Côte d'Azur. If you see me on Instagram, you know I do actually fly properly into Nice and out of Nice a lot. Nice Côte d'Azur. So like you just need to wait your turn. If there's someone talking, and now I like it's not your fault if you start talking while someone else starts talking. That's not your fault. But it is your fault if you just sit there and talk over someone, because the controller doesn't have 6 ears. He can't process it all at once, and the controller's only human. So even though he does know a lot about VATSIM and he knows everything there is really to know about aviation, he's still not superhuman, and like you have to treat him like a human.
Yeah, some people definitely think that just they the controller is just steel, that they can just say anything and just do anything. The controller won't do anything about it. He can contact a supervisor, and within 3 minutes he'll be disconnected.
Yeah, definitely. And even you, like as a pilot, can what is it? Explanation mark wallop or dot wallop, something like that. And the supervisor will come in. He'll have a chat. He'll see what's going on, and if the person are screaming down the mic, swear words or anything like that, they just kick him, and that's that. You're gone, and you'll have an email from Vatson very soon. Down your account. Usually for something like that, it'd be like 3 days. But if it's like an age thing, like I know someone. I won't say his name. We'll call him Ryanair. He was underage by a year, and he's lost his account now for I think 7 or 8 months. That's why you need to be not professional. You need to fly properly to fly on VATSIM.
Yes, because there's definitely a certain level of professionalism people want, and that people will get because those rules are very, very, very strongly enforced. So they like to keep it like that, but then some people definitely wouldn't agree. But then again, as we said, like you're not gonna end up making everyone happy.
Yeah, definitely. As you said there, and as we said a while ago, no one will be happy at every single point. I mean, there can be people on there who just want to have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of fun on that sim. That's fine if you do it properly and if you don't disturb people. Maybe, I mean, if you really want to, do like aerobatics or something like that on that sim, go to an uncontrolled airspace. Maybe go up to anywhere really that's a small airspace, and just do your stuff there instead of having to do in a busy airport with busy controllers. You'll just be kicked, and you get fun which is short lived, but it's I mean then you're gone, sometimes even for good. And you won't fly in VATSIM again. You might not become a pilot again, because I think all the stuff that goes from VATSIM sometimes can go through to airlines and stuff. You need to be careful what you do, but if you do be careful what you do, VATSIM is amazing.
Yeah, it could definitely be very fun at times, but then a lot of times it could be stressful. But then definitely the fun definitely outweighs the stress in it.
Yeah, like if you just take it all in and just do your best while flying the plane, you don't need to be some professional. You don't need to make your landing amazing right on the touchdown zone. You don't need to do that, because you're not flying a real life aircraft. If you're flying a real life aircraft with real passengers, real fair paying passengers, do that. But if you're not, or if you're just on a flight simulator, then just do your best. Just fly the plane as you normally would on any other simulator. Just make sure that you're concentrating that little bit more.
Yes, that's just all about lesson really. So, um, so another topic that we could talk.
Say again. I think you just forgot to push to talk there.
Is there? That's really all I have to say about that. Some flight simulation.
Yeah, I mean that's really all there is to say about flight simulation. We can talk a bit more about the media side. I mean, we kind of had a discussion about the media side at the very beginning, but like the media side of aviation, like how do you think that? I feel like I need to put it now, but how do you think about the media side of aviation? Do you think that it's very well? I mean, we both have plane spotting aviation accounts. They'll be in the description of the video anyway if you wanna check them out. I do like primarily plane spotting. I think you sometimes do a bit of plane spotting, sometimes do a bit of flight simulation. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, how do you feel about the atmosphere on? No, I don't mean atmosphere like atmosphere in like a stadium or anything like that. Atmosphere is in like how do you think the people are who do aviation media? I mean, I know a lot of us like Dublin or like Irish aviation Instagrammers and TikTok and all that are all quite good friends. But the international people, maybe from America, from England, what do you think about the media side of aviation? To put it easily.
Well, when I joined Instagram, I just pretty much did flight simulation. Then now moving over to like just aviation photography and plane spotting. Um, Everyone seemed like really nice, but then I sort of, I think I got a wrong view into it. I saw a bit of a dark side of it. I saw people like having like really, really like and really bad insults being thrown, like about people's pasts and stuff, and it kind of gave me a really bad image of it. But then I saw sort of the niceness of people sort of outweighed it. So now I don't really think anything of it anymore, but it still sort of lingers in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you'll always get that one annoying person who's always there and just tries to make your life difficult, and tries to critique you about all your flights and all your photos and all your videos if you post them like on TikTok or YouTube. There'll always be someone. I heard this thing, they'll be happy to see you succeed, but they'll be more happy to see you fail, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, but then there's the people who's online, like, who are so nice, and they always like your posts. Maybe sometimes comment on your post. They follow you. They look. They're the proper ones who like if you're failing, they'll shout you out. Or if you're if you're failing, if you're losing followers, or if you're close to a follower margin. Like I was close to 800 recently. I'm on 802 now, I think. People were they were shouting me out. They were giving me help, if you know what I mean. And like you can't help but just be amazingly grateful for all them people. But then there's the people who like would unfollow you to try and bring that margin down just to annoy you. But you can't let that set you back, if you know what I mean. Like if you listen to this and you are in a tough time, because trust me, I was in a very very tough time over the summer 2020 on Instagram. My shots weren't amazing. I was definitely a bit of a laughing stock, if you know what I mean, of Irish aviation Instagram accounts. Not anymore, but I was definitely. And it is definitely very tough. But if you focus on the positives instead of the negatives, because this is what I did, and then I eventually got my camera, and I was a bit more respected, if you know what I mean. But if something like that does happen to you, just don't take it in, don't take it on board. If they're giving you constructive criticism, take that on board. But if they're doing it in a bad way, like if they're saying like your shots look like they're taken on a toaster or something like that, don't take that on board. But if they're saying your shots look like they might not have been taken with something very good, you could try and upgrade your photos or edit them a bit more. Because there's nothing wrong with editing. Like there is absolutely nothing wrong with editing a photos. I think everyone does it, really, to be honest. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But just don't take any of the bad information on board, but take some of the constructive criticism on board, and eventually you'll become a lot more respected and even, quote unquote, quotation mark, popular, if you know what I mean. Hello? Okay, I think we're having just a few problems, but just to continue, yeah, okay, well, just to continue, yeah, there's definitely a big issue with the bad people on aviation media. But I think that is where we're gonna have to finish off this podcast. So happy Christmas. When this goes up, it will be Christmas time. It will be Christmas. Christmas Day will have come and gone. It's currently Christmas Eve today, so it's 26th of December. But yeah, so that is gonna end off this podcast. So I'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.